Welcome to our channel. Trying to do my best to keep you guys cheered up. One of my dear friends asked me to record something to do with teenagers. And not just teenagers, but teenagers locked with you in your home. I don't know if that is your idea of heaven or hell, whatever it is. There you are. So here are some thoughts. I want to talk about this phenomena of teenagers being locked with you in your home thanks to COVID, and I am going to give you some solutions. What should you do so that that experience is good and beneficial for both of you, for you and your teenagers? To pull your leg. Teenagers, in my view, are your parents' revenge on you. This is what they wished on you for what you did to them when you were a teenager. So, bear your teenagers with a smile. Teenage is an affliction like dotage, like old age. It can be born with grace or without. But it must be born. Sorry to make you feel bad, guys. But recall your own teenage. I know for some of you, for people like me, mercifully, I do not have teenagers. I do not have any agers, and I'm delighted about that. It may sound like ancient history, but try and you will know what I mean. Remember beautiful people? Remember dreams? Remember confusion? Remember hormones? Remember love that threatened to make your heart explode and catch up all over the room? Remember the tears? Remember laughing at nothing? Remember some more confusion? Remember depression and despair? Remember coming out of it all stronger for it? Remember friends you felt you could give your life for? And thank God you didn't. Yeah, just like that guy in your high school. What was his name? This day will dawn on your teenagers also when they have their own teenagers, and you too will have your revenge. So rejoice. Now, to get down to the now, is my very dear friend Jahangir Ghadiali, who always has some very useful things to say. Jahangir retired. He's been a hotelier. He had been a hotelier all his life with ITC, ran some of their major iconic properties. I first met him in the Andamans where I had gone for deep sea fishing, and Jahangir retired as the head of Travel House, and he and Vandana very, very wonderful people. Now Jahangir has this to say. He says children need mentors to help them inculcate ethics and culture first, followed by humility and care for their fellow beings. These values are absorbed by kids at an early age, and my worry is that the pandemic may last or will last an entire year or more, during which time they will absorb bad behavior, irritation, and such from their parents who feel cooped up and display a lack of understanding and empathy frequently. I know that sounds cruel, but you might recognize yourself in that. Will we have an entire future generation of maladjusted children? That's a serious worry. Also, kids need other kids to play with, to learn social adjustment. Parents of children of impressionable age have a task on their hands with COVID. Truly, the subject is Hobsonian. Now, those of you who do not know what is Hobsonian, go look up Hobson's Choice on Google. No, I'm not going to tell you what it is. Now, what can you do now? Your biggest problem, believe me, will be to break the ice between you and them. Depending on how you raise them, there will be a thick ice wall that you must break through, usually without any help from them, at least in the beginning. And how thick will that wall be depends on what you did with them till now. The key thing is not to react. Do not react. Whatever they do or don't, you don't react. Stay on track with whatever you started. Be prepared to do a lot of repairing. Parents don't realize the kind of beating their relationship with their children takes. In many cases, even if they realize it, it is more convenient to remain involved in your work and pretend that nothing is happening, nothing wrong is happening, that everything is fine and everything will fall into place on its own, and to take refuge in the excuse that after all you are doing it all for them. You know none of that is true. And COVID has brought you face to face with that. COVID took away that refuge from you. And now you have to face yourself. Don't rage about it. Don't complain. Be grateful that now you have the time and opportunity to take advantage of it. If you have a bad relationship or no relationship, just indifference with your teenagers, then own up. Own up to that. Don't deny that. Don't try to send them on a guilt trip about what he or she is supposed to do. Honor your parents, serve your parents. Don't bring God into it and say that, this is what God has ordered. No. This is between you and them. So don't lecture to them. Doing any of this will destroy your credibility even more. What they won't do for love, don't try to force them to do for duty. Because even if they do it, it will be without love. And what good is that? So sit with them, speak from your heart, apologize, and say that you have not done enough to be their friend and would like to do that now. That is the truth. Speak the truth. Ask them to help you. This takes a lot of humility, it takes a lot of courage, believe me. But it is powerful. Nothing more powerful than the truth. The truth is that whatever that little baby turned out to be is because of you. That baby that you gave birth to today turned out to be somebody that you can look up to and feel proud about. All power to you. But if it's the opposite, remember who's responsible. He wasn't born like that. That's what you made him. So, whether you like the result or not, it is your handiwork, and if it needs repairing, you are the only one who can do it, so get on with it. Please, don't try to become a teenager. You can't. And it will look ridiculous. Maintain your dignity. Parents are boundaries. They are benchmarks. They are the templates against which children judge others. Remember that and don't compromise that. Don't try to use their lingo or pretend to be interested in their games and films or whatever if you are really not interested. I've seen some people doing that. It looks pathetic. There's no need. They don't expect that from you. Don't do that. Be sincere, be understanding, be tolerant, and be kind. Above all else, be kind. That is what they need to learn above all else, to be kind. That is what they need to learn. They will learn it if they experience it from you. So teach them kindness and compassion, because these are the two biggest deficiencies in our society today. Start with shared responsibility. Divide the tasks in the house. Call a family meeting. Get everyone to list out all the tasks that must be done every day. List everything, cooking, cleaning, laundry, everything, whatever. And then ask for volunteers to take one or more tasks. And you parents, also take on tasks. But don't do what you traditionally do. Mama khana nahi banayegi. Mom will not cook. And no excuses from the teenagers about, but I have to study. Yes, you must study, but you must also cook or clean or whatever you took on, and you will have to take on a task before you study, after you study, during your study. This is our home. It's not a hotel. There is no room service. There is no housekeeping. So let us treat it like our homes and let us take care of it. We are all in this together and each must pull his weight. This is not easy. You are going to get pushed back. Be kind, but be firm. Each task needs skill to do it efficiently and effectively, and here's a good opportunity to learn how. Do projects with your teenagers. For example, one of the most urgent needs today for most of us is to get a haircut. I'm wearing this cap because you don't want to see what my hair looks like. Now, there are a number of videos on YouTube about how to give haircuts. Get your teenager involved in that and tell him or her that I want you to give me a haircut. And it's because it's a service that I would otherwise have paid for, I'm going to pay you for that. And then give a healthy tip. That's only an example. I mean, if you don't have your hair, maybe you are lucky, think of something else. And then get the haircut. And remember, if you end up looking like you were dragged through a hedge backwards, it doesn't matter. The hair will grow. Meanwhile, invest in a turban or invest in a cap like mine and you look regal. Another one, grow food at home. Old containers, soil, seeds and water. And you have a garden. You won't understand the thrill of eating a salad that came from your terrace or balcony until you do it. In this process, everyone also gets to learn, and this is the whole project teaching. In this process, everyone also gets to learn about plants and about photosynthesis and pollination and ecology and the interrelatedness of species and so on and so forth. Your plants will perhaps attract birds, and you can set out feeders, bird baths, nesting boxes for the birds. Then set up cameras and make videos about the birds on your balcony and post them on the net. You don't know which birds will watch and tell their friends. There is actually a very interesting video done by a Maharashtrian couple from Pune, I think Pune or Mumbai. Exactly this, birds from their balcony. It's there on YouTube, go if you search for it. Let your teenager make dinner. Project. Let the teenager make the dinner. Get ready to taste cattle fodder, only to discover a meal so delicious that you are forced to ask, did you make it or did you Uber eat it? But don't ask. You want to ask that, don't ask. Just enjoy the meal. Even if you heard your phone going ping because his credit card is linked to yours, you know what I'm talking about. Enjoy the food. You got the money, you can afford it. And then tell him to teach you how he cooked that meal. Let him teach you how he cooked what he cooked. So either you learn something or he does. Treat teenagers like the young adults they are. Young, yes, but also adults. Adults, yes, but young. They are children trying to play at being grown up. Don't deny them being grown up, but remember the child underneath the skin. Hug it, kiss it. It will push you away. It will roll its eyes. It will appear to dislike what you did, but believe me, if you could look inside his heart, you would be very surprised. Having said that, don't treat them like children. Don't even treat children like this. Don't talk down at them, don't talk at them, don't talk down to them, don't look over their shoulders, don't pry, don't snoop, don't invade their privacy, don't overprotect, don't overparent, don't micromanage. Sound familiar, right? Well, time to stop. Remember, this generation is different from yours and mine, very different. Their idea of privacy is different from yours. And if you don't understand that or pretend not to understand that, just try to recall how you felt when your parents, if they did that, may Allah forgive them, if your parents snooped on you, if they tried to read your letters, or if they tried to ask you who you were talking to on the phone, In those days, no cell phone, so you had to talk from the family phone in the house and everybody heard you. How did you feel? Did you like that? Then why do you think that your children are going to like you doing the same things? Don't do that. Now you may say, well, all of this is fine, but if I don't know what is happening in their lives, how do I know if they fall into the wrong company, if they are listening to the wrong people, or if they are watching the wrong kind of videos and whatnot? Well, you know what? You don't. And you won't. If they want to hide it from you, especially teenagers, there are many ways. They have many ways to do that. Your best bet is to give them the right values, explain to them the consequences of violating trust, and trust them. And then make dua for them. Pray for them. That is what you can do, and that is what you should do. And inshallah, you will be successful and your teenagers will be protected. That is the reason why ethics and values education is so important. Because that is your bastion against evil. That is your barrier. That is your defense. Now, how do you treat them as adults? By showing respect, by not ordering them around, by saying, please, do you mind? When you have the time, can you do this for me? Now that last one, don't say that out of the side of your mouth dripping with sarcasm. It defeats the whole purpose. Say it like you truly, genuinely, honestly, and sincerely value their time. Yeah, their time. And always say, thank you very much. Gratitude begets good feeling. And do all of this with a smile, looking at them directly, even if they are gazing at the floor, which they probably will. Remember that disinterested expression on the face of a lot of teenagers, the kind of surly look? This is a very carefully cultivated image. Inside, he's not like that. He's not like that at all. I mean, ask me, I know a lot of them. And they tell me things which they don't tell their own parents. Because somehow, I don't know, maybe they like my hat, they connect with me. And also because I have no power over them. I can't give them anything, I can't take away anything from them. So they come to me and they tell me things. And they tell me things in confidence. And I don't share it with anybody, including their parents. But I give them advice, I talk straight to them, I don't mince any words, I say what needs to be said, and I don't care if they are hurt or they feel bad about it, and they love it. Because and I've heard this directly, they have told me, they said the best thing we like about you is that you tell us things directly. You don't sugarcoat things, you don't mince your words. I know some of the stuff you tell us, at that time it hit us, it sometimes hurt us, but we are very happy you told us that you didn't try to, spin a web around it. Treat them like that. That is the meaning of treating them like adults. I advise adults. That is my business. I do executive coaching, I help people with succession planning, I help family businesses, big and small, I teach leadership. So this is what I do, and when a teenager comes to me, the only difference is the teenager doesn't pay me a fee, neither does his father or mother. But to me, they are my clients, and I treat them like my clients, like adults. And believe me, that works. When I'm talking to you and telling you this, it's not theory. This is real life practice. Expect and accept body language and vocabulary that you have never seen or heard before. I don't mean cheekiness and rudeness. That you need not and must never accept. They must show respect for you whether they like it or not, because you are parents. That's an incontrovertible fact. But just disinterest, lethargy, the look I said, I explained to you, this is the kind of surly, disinterested look, a kind of disconnect, even suspicion. And especially be prepared for suspicion, because Believe me, if you have been treating them whatever way you have been treating them, now suddenly you say, I want to be your friend, please help me, and so on, they're going to say, there is something, behind this. दाल में कुछ काला है या पूरी दाल ही काली है? They will think something is wrong. Well, how come this man or how come this woman who never talked to me like this in all my years suddenly is telling me he or she wants to be my friend? Means what? Means they're trying to trap me. They won't say all of this to you, but this is the pushback you're going to get, the psychological pushback. Be mentally prepared for it, otherwise you are going to be hurt, your ego is going to be bruised, and you will say, to hell with this rubbish, I'm not going to do anything, I'll go back to my old ways. No, it works, but it's not magic, it takes time. So be prepared for that. Think about this. If instead of your son and daughter, if you were observing a denizen of the Amazonian rainforest, what would you do? You wouldn't bat an eyelid to see behavior like that. So don't bat it now. You wouldn't react to that behavior, so don't react now. You would just observe the behavior with detached interest. Do that now. Just learn to tell what the gesture or expression on the face or expression of speech means. You should understand that. And if you are having trouble understanding that, remember, this is because of what you have done with that, within quotes, kid. If you had spent more time with them, if you had given them more importance in your life, you would not be in this situation today. No problem. No need to feel depressed about that. Just do it now. And think about this. How many conversations did you have in your life with your teenagers? And remember, go get this, go get that, or the haranguing, you should study hard, blah, blah, blah. All of this is not conversation. All of this is not conversation. So, guess who needs to learn? I asked one teenager, because since I wanted to do this talk, I said, let me talk directly to them. I asked one of them to tell me what he appreciated the most about adults and what he hated the most. You know what he said? He said, I appreciate the most that they always try to push you to do more and learn new skills. Yeah, that's what he said to me. I said to him, are you trying to suck up to me? I mean, this is maska laga raha hai sir mere ko. I said, are you doing that? He said, no, Yavar uncle, I'm serious. I'm serious. So, surprise, surprise. About dislike, he said, sometimes they don't give you privacy or space as a teenager or 20s kid wants. I wanted to ask him, 20s kid? 20s kid? Somebody in their 20s is a kid? But then you know what? I realized that this is the result of our parenting. Especially Indian parenting, especially Desi parenting. We promote dependence. And then we complain that they are irresponsible. Bad idea. Responsibility gives confidence. And for that, you must trust them. You must take risk. You must live with your anxiety and not dump it on them. Trust means to give them a task and not supervise, look the other way. Another teenager, he said, I depend on adults to guide me. I always appreciate learning from their mistakes and experience. He appreciates learning from my mistakes and experience. And what I dislike is their inability to put themselves in a younger person's mind, to understand how they feel, to properly advise them instead of blowing up. What I love about them is that no matter how much irritation I cause them, no matter how much pain, they always love me unconditionally. I want to say to you that teenagers listen with their eyes. They listen with their eyes. Everyone listens with their eyes. People don't care what you say until they see what you do. You are the role model for your teenagers, whether you like it or not. And you signed up for it the day that child was born. So watch yourself and ask what kind of role model you are. Many parents complain that their children are not respectful. Ask yourself if you are worthy of respect. Sorry to sound rude, but I know several parents whose children would have been much better off if they had been orphaned at birth. Ask yourself, what value do you add to your child? What value do you add to your child's life? Clearly, specifically, not I'm good for them. No, what specific value do you believe that you add to your child's life? Then ask your teenager. Ask him or her what value he or she thinks you add to their life. If you can't say this, you can be sure your teenager cannot say it either. If you don't know what value you are adding to the child's life, believe me, the child doesn't know that either. So ask them and then up your game. Be prepared to get no answer at all. Don't push. Live with your irritation and realize that it is not the child who is causing it, but it is your own anger at yourself that you can't get them enthused about your project. Look at yourself and ask how you can change. They will come through in due course, believe me. Then think about what they say. Have serious conversations with them. Shut off the TV. Biggest waste of time and biggest depressor of emotions in your life is the television. Shut the television down. Have serious conversations. Talk about politics, not gossiping about politicians, not cursing this politician or that politician, no matter how much they deserve that curse, but asking questions and being prepared to answer those questions. For example, you might say, what would you do differently if you were head of state? Imagine that you are the head of state. What would you do differently in today's circumstances? How would you handle this COVID crisis if you were in charge? What would you do about the economy? What do you think must change in what we teach? You, my dear teenager, are closer to school and college than I am. So what do you think must change? Can you design an online school? How would you involve children who are dispersed across the world in one project? Obviously, putting them all in front of a Zoom screen is not the answer. So what is the answer? Ask them. Ask them, if you are sitting in a Zoom class, what captures your interest and where do you lose interest? This is one of the big challenges today with this remote teaching and learning, is how do you keep the children involved? How do you keep them engaged? You know who should answer that question? Those children themselves. I'm always surprised when you have a bunch of teachers sitting and trying to break their minds about that. How can we do? Ask them that question, because they are the ones who are receiving it. So ask them, how can I do something and what can I do to keep you involved? Do other projects with them, right? Start a new online business or service. Ask them for ideas. Show them what's in it for them. Don't pay them. Tell them, if this business succeeds, this is the kind of money you can make. And make me a shareholder, I will fund part of the project. Show them how they can, how to make business presentations, how to pitch to VCs for funds, teach them public speaking, presentation skills. A lot of these things you will find on my website, the same place where you are watching this video. So go look at them, watch those videos, everything is free, watch them fully and take those courses for yourself. There's a wonderful program on TV. I just told you not to watch TV. I mean, don't watch the usual junk, and definitely don't watch so-called news, which is a bunch of lies and a bunch of PR for this government or that government. Instead, there's a program called Shark Tank. Watch that, which is how new business ideas are pitched to a group of VCs. It will teach them something. Watch things which are constructive and useful, not things which make you brain dead. And then remember, have a lot of patience. I'm going to come to the end of my chat here. Have a lot of patience. Remember, you are paying for your sins of commission or omission. in the way that you raised your children. But all is not lost. You can make up now and thank God for sending COVID to help you by locking you all up together in one place with one task. Repair your relationships. Improve your relationships before you get out. You would never have had this chance if COVID hadn't happened. So thank God for COVID and say, I'm going to make the best of this. Now, while your teenagers are working on the projects, you also work, because this is a collective exercise that I'm asking you to do. The idea is not simply to ask them to work and then you sit in judgment. No. What you will do is each person presents and the whole group, which includes them and you, will give them feedback and offer them help. That's the way to do that. Not shooting down ideas because they might sound impractical to you. Remember this. We need to appreciate their thinking. We need to appreciate new thinking, because it is our thinking that created the world that we live in. We need a vastly different kind of thinking to get out of the mess that we created. As Albert Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. We created the world that we live in. We created the world that we live in, and let us just make sure that we don't leave that as our legacy. Right? Enlist their help in changing this world so that we can die in peace. And they will get a world which at least they are partially responsible for and they help to create. Don't preach, don't prescribe, don't be judgmental, don't give answers. Don't say, when I was your age, I used to do such and such. I'm not saying that your life experience and your stories are not valuable. They are valuable, but you need to put it in language which makes sense to them in today's world. And their world today is like a different planet from the world that you saw as a teenager and the world that I saw as a teenager. There is no resemblance. So what we need to do is not to be preachy and prescriptive, but we need to create concepts from our life stories, concepts of learning. Because concepts transcend time. Data alone is time and place specific. The story may be interesting, but until you draw a conclusion which is applicable in their world, a completely different world, your story is at best entertainment, nothing more. That means you will need to work on your own experience before you talk about that. So, good luck to you. I'm sorry if this sounds very depressing and difficult, but let me tell you, the joy of really having a friend you can depend on. I'm not talking about anybody else, I'm talking about your teenager. The joy of having a friend that you can depend on, who understands you, who looks up to you, and who will carry forward your legacy is something that I can't describe. That joy I cannot describe. You have to feel it yourself. And it is in your hands. Do it right, and the day will come when you will hear what your teenager said about you to somebody else, and how he or she quoted you as an example to be emulated. Then you will know that you did your job well, and that you have left a legacy which will do you proud. That is what makes all the effort worthwhile. Do you agree? I hope so. All the best to you, and love you guys.